Hey, what's good, y'all? Welcome back to another video. It's Anish, and today we're going to be going over some quotes from the press conferences over the last week. One from about 6 days ago, and one from today, just to catch you all up to speed. What's going on in OTAs and initial rookie camps and things like that. So let's go ahead and get started. So about 6 days ago, Kevin Pierre-Louis and Justin Britt had a press conference. So let's start with Kevin Pierre-Louis. So he said that he prides himself on hustle and he likes to run to the ball and hit. And you can definitely see that in his highlight reels and stuff. He's a very aggressive player. I look forward to seeing him in the season. I mean, he's definitely going to be in that main rotation of linebackers for sure. And so the next quote that he said is that on all the change surrounding the Texans, he said it creates a sense of urgency, which every team should have. With that level of competition across all positions, it makes you take advantage of your time. This camp is going to test a lot of us, and this is basically indirectly praising Nick Caserio's approach to all the free agency, in which the whole theme of free agency or the offseason has been competition. They're really focusing on making everyone really earn their position. Not everything is a given. You have to earn it. You have to work for it. And I really like that culture that we're bringing in here. And so yeah, I really like that. Kevin Pierre-Louis is really liking that same sentiment and really buying in on that. And then Kevin Pierre-Louis talks about Zach Cunningham. He's a guy I watched a lot of film on. He's talented. He make a lot of plays. The proof is on the film. Added that he looks forward to getting to know him and play next to him. So obviously showing that they have good camaraderie already and they really like each other, and hopefully that chemistry off the field is going to really help on the field as well. And I definitely think they're going to be, our linebacker group is definitely going to be really solid next year. I think it's one of the most underrated. Zach Cunningham is probably one of the most underrated like linebackers. Some people say that his stats are a bit inflated, which I kind of agree, because our run defense in the trenches was kind of bad. So like the running back would make it to the second level, if you get what I'm saying. So he did have a lot of tackles, but he is that Pro Bowler linebacker for a reason. He's still very, very good. This past season, he wasn't really that good in the beginning, but he really picked it up. And so hopefully with this whole new coaching staff, our linebacker group will look way better than last year's. And I know last year's it was pretty decent, but I think we can see a pretty good improvement in that area as well. All right, so now we're going to move on to Justin Britt's quotes. When he was asked about being out last year, he said, "I miss football like crazy," and said it was the time for him to take care of his knee, and also got time to spend with his family. And he adds that it's definitely nice to be back out there and get back at it. So, obviously, there's stuff more than football, of course, to spend time with family, but definitely going to be interesting to see how he does after a year of playing. He came from the Seahawks, and so having being a center protecting Russell Wilson is similar in some ways of like protecting like Tyrod Taylor, who is kind of fits in that mold of a mobile quarterback. Obviously, he doesn't have that same mobility as Russell Wilson, but definitely has that experience in protecting a mobile quarterback. So definitely has that experience there. And Justin Britt, a former guard, tackle and guard, said he will play center, and I think that was pretty much a given. And I think he'll be pretty good at center for us. Definitely an upgrade over Nick Martin for sure. So yeah. And then Justin Britt said the presence of offensive line coach James Campen is a major reason why he signed with the Texans. And I think you will see that trend among other players too, that they sign because of the coaching staff, either whether it be Culley or certain position group coaches. A lot of these guys like our coaching staff. That's why they signed here. And at the beginning of the season, I didn't think anyone was going to sign here due to our front office issues with Easterby and whatnot. But honestly, I'm pleasantly surprised that so many people actually want to play here, and for our coaches as well. So that's pretty good. And he also adds that on the Seahawks cutting him, he said it hurt. The hardest part is feeling unwanted. Even though Britt saw it coming, it was emotional for him. It felt good for him to be wanted by the Texans. And he said it was an easy call. I wanted to sign the papers before I left town. So yeah, this is another part of football that we don't often see, is that players have feelings too, obviously. And so whenever they get cut, we don't see that it's it's their job basically. It's like kind of getting fired in a sense. So yeah, that really sucks. And so that feeling of wantedness is really important. And so I'm glad that the Texans gave him another shot at proving himself. And I think that's with a lot of players too, just not just Justin Britt. Feeling wanted is pretty important. And so he also adds on what he'll bring to the team. He said he'll bring a winning culture. Not that we didn't have one, but he said that there's a reason why they brought me here. I'm going to bring an attitude and aggressiveness. I just want to play football, and I know how to. I'm ready to get going. And he is putting a lot of work in the offseason. He definitely looks like to be in great shape, and that's great to see. And yeah, when he talks about the winning culture, yeah, you could argue that our AFC championships, AFC South championships are kind of a winning culture, but to be honest, for us to just fall apart in the offseason didn't really demonstrate that winning culture from the regular season. So hopefully we kind of change that around in the next couple of years, so that we have successful playoff runs. It doesn't have to be a Super Bowl in the first year or the second year, just something more than a first round exit or just an absolute collapse in the second round, you know? So yeah, I definitely like that kind of attitude. You know, he really shows that he cares and stuff like that. And then when he also adds that he just wants to run the ball, and that's something that we're going to be doing pretty often. I feel like with our three-headed monster in the backfield, like we mentioned earlier, David Johnson, Mark Ingram, Philip Lindsay. I definitely think that this run game is going to be pretty top tier. I mean, I'm not gonna drink so much Kool-Aid to say that we're going to be like top five or but I think we'll be pretty respectable, and I think that's a pretty reasonable goal to look forward to. And I would like to see Phil Lindsay get 1,000 yards. I think that's a goal that he could achieve. I don't know if he could, but he definitely can. And so um, so yeah, that's something cool to see. And he said that he had no doubt he would come back from a torn ACL. He was rehabbed out of his garage during the start of the pandemic. He said he knew how to attack it. So obviously post recovery, seems like he's doing well. So that's good to see. And he said Texans had Justin Britt. They showed they wanted me. Said that Deshaun Watson's status wasn't a factor. It was nice to be wanted to this degree. I'm going to give them the same respect they gave me. So it's interesting to see that Deshaun Watson wanting out has pretty much no effect on these players, when in reality a lot of people thought it did. So shows that either Nick Caserio has really convinced them or has had them buy in on the vision that they're all going for. So that's nice. And so Justin Britt also said on his wrestling background, helping up the offensive line, said, if you don't want to put on tights, go play basketball. All eyes are on you. Are you going to win or lose? There's no draw, at least not in my eyes. Wrestling, I'm very grateful for it. It trained my mind. So that's pretty cool to see. He has a wrestling background, I guess. Shows that he has that intensity, that perseverance to keep going. But yeah, I like to see that from Justin Britt. Obviously, clear upgrade over Nick Martin for sure. And so now today there's a press conference with Christian Kirksey, David Culley, and Brandon Cooks. And Christian Kirksey said, we're building that team bond, learning the playbook, and having fun. And despite what the media or national media or other fans say about this team, we're just ignoring the noise, blocking out the noise, and really focusing on ourselves and having fun. That's what you like to see, you know. They're not gonna take the disrespect from others, and they're just gonna ball out and prove everyone that they're a respectable team, of course. And Christian Kirksey says on linebackers coach Miles Smith, Lovie Smith's son, that he has a lot of respect of the linebacker room. He has similar personalities, and that's a very important trait, to have the coach to have the respect of the players. Obviously, you see that primarily around the league, but there's times where that doesn't happen. There's that disconnect. So having them on the same page is important, because that shows that they're willing to play hard for you. And I know Miles Smith, he didn't have the greatest reputation as a college coach, and so I wasn't too high on Miles Smith as a coach when I read into him, but maybe he'll prove me wrong, right? So, and then he also said that we're a veteran group of linebackers. We're all just learning all three linebacker roles so we can be interchangeable. And so that really stresses the team of versatility that Culley has kind of emphasized in his press conferences. So that's pretty interesting that they're learning all three instead of just honing in on one role. could be useful like later down the stretch, where maybe a guy unfortunately gets injured and you have guys who already know how to play his position, and we'll be playing guys on the very end of the depth chart for a linebacker. So that's pretty good. Versatility is definitely not a bad thing, just an overused word Texas fans don't really like to hear too much. But yeah, that's pretty interesting actually. So, and then he also adds that everyone is new. I enjoy meeting new guys, hearing their story, how they got to where they are now. We're all competing. We're all from different places and trying to get to one goal. And so that's pretty. I like that sentiment. You just everyone's a competitor. Everyone wants to win. That shows that we're just not gonna roll on the floor and just like forfeit games. You know, obviously no team's gonna do that, but a lot of other fans see the Texans as that kind of team that we're just pushovers, not gonna win a lot of games, and we probably like realistically we're not gonna shock the world basically, but we're gonna show teams that we're not just a team that you can get an easy win. You're gonna have to earn your win, and so yeah, I really like that mentality, and they're just trying to get to one goal, whether it be like production in the regular season or production to get them a good enough contract for the next year. I don't know what their goals are, but definitely a good sentiment to have. And then he said he chose the Texans partly because he has family in the Houston area, including his mother. And from a defensive standpoint, he says Lovie Smith is a legend. It's almost a no-brainer. You want to be coached by a great. That's what steered my decision. And Lovie Smith, if you guys don't know, he was part of that 85 Bears who were a very dominant team back then. And Lovie Smith, he gives passionate pep talks. There was this one video that I watched, and it was very inspiring. And so hopefully Lovie Smith kind of brings that here. And like I said, that trend of players wanting to come to the Texans to play for coaches. So it really shows that our coaching staff is pretty good, you know, if they want to come here. And then David Culley, now on to David Culley from today. He says, on replacing the wide receiver Will Fuller, now with the Miami Dolphins, he said, obviously Will did a nice job for us. And that's part of the business. They move on. We feel like the group we have here, we feel like with the group we have here, the production is in our room. And so he feels confident about the players, about the wide receivers that we currently have. Obviously, he's not going to say that the wide receivers we don't have are inadequate. He's not going to say that, just as what you don't really expect for a coach to be bluntly honest about something. But I think our wide receiver group is also another underrated group. A lot of people have us being a 31st like wide receiver group in the league, or even the worst, and that's pretty absurd to me. Yeah, Brandon Cooks, who is an underrated wide receiver in this league. I think he doesn't get the respect he deserves. You have Randall Cobb, who played pretty great for us last season. I think his season was pretty. Not many people talk about the season that he had last season. He was pretty reliable for us. One play that comes to mind is that Titans game where he just came back towards the pylon and really caught that really tough touchdown. And then with the additions of Conley, Nico Collins, obviously Conley, he isn't gonna, like I said earlier, shock the world with anything, but he's a pretty decent wide receiver. And Nico Collins, a lot of great things are being said about him, so we'll just have to see about that. But yeah, about Will Fuller, us deciding not to re-sign him, I think it was not the decision the fans might have wanted, but it's most likely the right decision. Will Fuller, in his time here, he rarely had a injury-free season, and the 1 year that he doesn't, he was found using PEDs. So at that point, your kind of tolerance for being patient with Will Fuller, it's kind of gone down. You know, like how many times is this going to happen where you don't complete a season? That kind of also breaks that trust, you know, with the team. And Will Fuller, by taking those PEDs, I don't know how it happens. He said he was misguided. I don't know, but that's just part of business, and it's going to be sad to see him on the Dolphins. But yeah, that's it. That's what it is. And then David Culley on Jacob Martin and John Grenard playing defensive end in a 4-3 after being linebackers in 3-4. So those are two guys able to put their hands down and be productive players. That transition, because of the type of guys they are isn't a big adjustment. So Culley has a good feeling that those two have the traits to be fulfill that role, and Jacob Martin has basically been a DN for he's basically been on the line for most of the if most if not all of the snaps, and I think Jacob Martin he does take that next step. He's considered like kind of undersized but very speedy, has good technique, and then John Grenard also has potential. His best game was from the Patriots, where he had that sack on Cam Newton, where he basically like bull rushed this lineman. I think Isaiah Wynn, I'm not sure, but he basically did a really good job there. And looking at the training camp clips, I know everyone looks amazing in training camp clips, but he looks amazing. I know he's putting in the work, and he really wants to prove himself out there, like many of the guys on our team are. And making that adjustment from to defensive end is pretty cool. And we already have a bunch of linebackers anyway, so we don't need any more linebackers for sure. And David Culley, when asked about Deshaun Watson, he said, "We have nothing more to say. We talked about the Deshaun Watson situation. There's nothing new on that." And he says he has nothing to say about that situation. And of course, there's really is nothing to really say. I mean, what else do we expect Culley or Casario to say at this point? And I think that Deshaun Watson's time here is going to be ending pretty soon. I mean, I think he's going to be traded in June, post June 1st. I think that's when it all is best, salary cap wise, and apparently teams could be still interested. Obviously, they know that Deshaun Watson probably won't play in 2021 for them, but they realize that it's worth making that trade if they get a generational type quarterback in Deshaun Watson. So what is like not being able to play 6 games to 5 games of generational quarterback talent that you have, right? So just unfortunate that it has to come this way. Just really sad about this whole situation, but I guess it is what it is. And then David Culley on Tyrod Taylor. He said he is here. He's starting to get in the program, and I expect him to fall right in and become the same Tyrod Taylor when he was in Baltimore and in Buffalo. So Tyrod Taylor also looking like in the best shape of his life. I really hope Tyrod Taylor really gets the chance that he gets. I know a lot of people want to see Davis Mills a lot, but I really feel like it just wouldn't be right for us to start Davis Mills at week 1. He definitely deserves to start week 1. So definitely we should give him a shot, and may the best quarterback win in the sense. If Davis Mills does beat out Tyrod Taylor, which I doubt would happen that early, then I guess then I would be fine with it, because obviously gonna have to reel out your best quarterback, of course. So, but yeah, Tyrod Taylor, he's had a very unfortunate past with injuries, but that's he's just accepted. He's moved on from that, and he's been a mature veteran leadership type of guy who he's going to be pretty valuable to our team in terms of like teaching Davis Mills how it is. And there's nothing better than learning from a guy of Tyrod Taylor, who's been around the league, learned so many playbooks, has probably a good idea on how to learn playbooks well and how to adjust to them, of course. So it's going to be definitely a good influence on Davis Mills. And then David Culley on Brandon Cooks. He said he is a pro. He praised the veteran wide receiver heavily. And then David Culley on players' heavy presence at voluntary workouts. The attendance has been great. So by now, COVID has decreased a significant amount. Obviously, it's still there, but it looks like they're being cautious and things like that. And then David Culley on being a head coach after being an assistant previously. He said, "Before I came here, I used to make suggestions. Now I make the decisions. That's the biggest change. That thing has flipped now. I understand exactly what that's all about. I embrace that." And so, yeah, that's pretty interesting. I mean, David Culley has never been an offensive coordinator in his entire career. I think in his like 30+ career in football, he's never been offensive coordinator. So making a jump from assistant to head coach is a pretty big one, I must say. But David Culley, I think he's gonna surprise us all. I think when he was initially hired, I didn't think too much of David Culley. I was like, wow, this is who we hired. But after reading more into him, after hearing his interviews, after having an open mind, I think David Culley will be a pretty good coach, pretty decent coach for us. And in the comment section, I just want y'all to say like whether or not you think David Culley, we signed him to a 5-year contract. Do you guys think that he kind of does that entire 5-year contract, or do you think we hire someone else as head coach in that 5-year span? I think that's something a lot of people were wondering about, whether Culley is like a bridge coach, that he's only going to be here for 2 to 3 years. But he definitely shouldn't get a lot of criticism in the first year, especially with how this team, our expectations are very low. So he shouldn't be on the hot seat or anything like that. And then David Culley was asked if Deshaun Watson is participating in Texans Zoom meetings. He reiterated that he has nothing to say about him. He said that, and then Watson has requested a trade and is dealing with 22 civil lawsuits alleging sexual misconduct. So, obviously, like, once again, Deshaun Watson, no, probably not going to be a Texan any longer. I have a weird feeling that he doesn't get traded, and he's just going to be on this team. I think he's going to get suspended, though. I feel like there's no way he doesn't get suspended. It seems that there's too much smoke for him not to be, 22 lawsuits, that's a lot. So, yeah, but I don't know how this whole Deshaun Watson thing will play out, but we'll see. And then finally, Brandon Cooks today, he said Nico Collins doesn't look like a rookie to me, and he's playing and he's grasping the playbook quite well. And that's something you like to see. Obviously, rookies are kind of overrated in some of the by most veterans. They're just trying to hype up the rookies and things like that. So, so you're just not. It's not gonna be completely objective. But Nico Collins, I think he's gonna stand out this year. He's kind of been one of the few rookies that have received praise on our team. A lot of people are thinking he's going to be like a top 10 rookie wide receiver this year, and I think that's pretty reasonable. Obviously, since we don't have Deshaun Watson and we have Tyrod Taylor, we're not gonna have a bunch of passing yards. Still gonna have a decent amount, but I think that might be the one thing that holds him back in a sense. So, and that's kind of like deja vu from DeAndre Hopkins not having a good. Obviously, Tyrod Taylor is a decent quarterback, but just that fact of not having that star quarterback to catch balls from is kind of like deja vu in a sense. And really hope that Davis Mills is going to be that guy for us. And so, yeah. And then Brandon Cooks on his outlook on the team. For me, he said every year is a new year. Last year didn't go the way we wanted to, but we turned that page, go back to work and grind. We hope for the better. And he says the only way to do that is work hard. And Brandon Cooks said he's getting accustomed to the timing with the new quarterbacks, including throwing sessions and building camaraderie. So, catching balls from Davis Mills, Tyrod Taylor, maybe even Jeff Driscoll, maybe. And so look, it's nice to see that Brandon Cooks. He's, I think he's one of our leaders on this team at this point. So like the way he perceives the whole situation is gonna matriculate throughout the whole players. They're all gonna have that same sentiment that this year is a new year. The past is in the past. We're moving on. We have a new coaching staff, a new GM. This team is a new team, and let's take pride in our own team. And that's what you like to see. And Brandon Cooks on Davis Mills, he said the kid is smart. He went to Stanford. He's a smart kid, picking up the offense pretty fast. He said the guy can sling it. And that's what kind of got me a little hyped about Davis Mills. I really hope that he performs. I hope he gets some snaps. I'm guessing he plays after the bye week when our record isn't the greatest and we kind of decide that it's probably best to play our rookies more. So I think that's when he will see the most snaps. But it's kind of great to see that Brandon Cooks praised Davis Mills. I really hope Davis Mills pans out for us. And yeah, him being smart and him slinging it, those are really great traits to have. And yeah, and then Brandon Cooks, he said, for me, it doesn't matter who's throwing the ball. I'm going to get on the same page, and I've shown that throughout my career. And Cooks has adapted to several different quarterbacks over the length of his career. And yeah, I mean, Cooks is probably one of the most understanding people in the NFL. I feel like he just accepts it, and like he doesn't hold any grudges or anything. I think I really love Brandon Cooks. He's quickly became one of my favorite players. So yeah. And then Brandon Cooks at the end, he says that on Texans receivers coach Robert Prince, he said he's a coach who really knows what he's talking about. It's great to have someone so experienced with his stamp on things. He's going to bring it to. He's going to work out with you. And so yeah, that goes along with that trend of players want to play for coaches, and that's what you love to see. And yeah, that's pretty much it for all the quotes. Leave a thumbs up if you made it here this whole time. Leave a comment, and I appreciate y'all. Let me know what your thoughts on both these press conferences. What do you think about this team? And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Thank y'all for watching. Peace.